On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, we are 2 weeks removed from the national championship, and the sport of college basketball is more insane than I think March was. The transfer portal season is here. Coaching carousel season kind of died down actually now. Got wild there for a second. John Calipari went to Arkansas. Since you last heard from me, though, Kentucky hired to replace John Calipari Mark Pope from BYU, which was a hire that at the time was talked about a lot. I went on vacation. We took a week off from the show. And now I'm here to talk about Mark Pope at a time where everyone's kind of already moved past that. But I have some Mark Pope thoughts. I like the guy, spoiler alert. And I thought that whole thing was funny, but it seems like he's settling in nicely in Lexington, and Kentucky fans are buying in, because what else can you do when you hire a guy? But yeah, transfer portal season's here, and there's just chaos across the sport, and I don't know. I'm going to do my best to not just be an old man yelling at clouds, but honestly, I think we're at a point now where that is the overwhelming consensus seems to be that people hate this shit. And I don't blame them. It's a weird time of year trying to make sense of like who's on what team and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, if you're someone who believes that the spirit of the sport has been stripped away because of the not just NIL, but it's the transfer portal, the relaxed transferring rules, the ability for guys to just bounce around. At a moment's notice. Felix Akpar, I saw yesterday, Ohio State center, he announced that he's now transferring this coming less than 3 weeks after announcing he's 100% committed and back. That sort of stuff does wear on you a little bit as a college basketball fan, and I'm going to do my best to not be an old man, but also at the same time, I think that's what everybody is. I think like young people are finding out that they're old men. There are a lot of guys in their 20s that love college basketball are like, holy shit, am I like 60 now? Because I hate this. But yeah, that's where we're at, the transfer portal season. I'll talk about some of the players that I think are the biggest transfers and going to make the biggest differences. Some coaching carousel talk, maybe some national championship revisiting, because we did the show with Jake on the court at the Final Four after the game, but had a couple weeks to sit and reminisce and think about it. And that UConn team was so good. They were so good. Yeah, so that's on the docket. It's good to be back. Took a couple weeks off. The show is back now, and we'll have some fun talking college basketball today. Let's get into it. All right, we'll talk about some transfer portal stuff, some coaching carousel stuff, national championship recap. I don't really need to recap the game, obviously. The game, when we did the show live on the court, it felt like we didn't really need to recap the game. I will just say, though, that this UConn team, I think having 2 weeks to sit on it and really think about it, and not just be reactionary in the moment. I do think that UConn team is an all-time great team, which, it's not exactly a hot take, but also that seems to happen after every national championship with a few exceptions. You look at the team that just won, and you're like, oh my God, this team's unbelievable. I can't believe how good they are. Are they one of the best teams we've seen in the last 10 years? And I think with UConn having taken time to really like let the emotions die down and all that, looking back on the run that they went on, looking back at on all the talent they had, and really the rest of the season, they were so good throughout the whole season. Yeah, I still would say, put a gun to my head and ask me is UConn the best team in the last, I don't know where the cutoff would be, last 20 years or so, last 15 years. Number one, I would ask you, why are you putting a gun to my head and asking such a trivial question? I think we would start there. I would be like, seems like an overreaction to put a gun to my head for such a question. But I do think, having thought about it a little bit, I still think 2018 Villanova was the biggest juggernaut. I think thinking back on like UConn losing 2 games this year by 15 plus kind of makes a difference for me. And one of those, Klingon got hurt at Seton Hall. Seton Hall was already beating them anyway. But Creighton kind of handed their asses to them. And it was one game, and Creighton gets hot, and that happens. And Creighton beats everybody. I talked about that throughout the season. Like Creighton as a program is at a point where they're not the best team in the Big East, but they will beat the best team in the Big East. No matter how good the best team in the Big East is, you will lose to Creighton. That just seems to be how it happens. And they used to do it against Villanova. Now they do it against UConn, where they just get hot and they run you off the court. But when they did it against Villanova in 2018, I think that game went to overtime, and the UConn game this year, they beat the brakes off them. So anyway, I don't know. I think Villanova, to the 2018 Villanova team, and it's also hard to do it right now because you watch the NBA and you're watching like Jalen Brunson on the Knicks, and you're like, okay, well, he was on the 2018 Villanova team, so ipso facto, they're better because they have Jalen Brunson, who I'm watching right now just destroy the NBA, whereas UConn has no NBA players right this second. They have guys that will obviously play in the NBA, but I think that helps the older teams. But I think Villanova in 2018 was still the best team I've seen in quite some time. But the talk right after the game of UConn being one of those teams, I think is valid, and yeah, I'm sad that they're gone. I'm sad that UConn basketball is out of my life right now. I'm sad that I can't watch that UConn team play anymore. And I think they'll be okay. I don't know. It seems like Liam McNeely might be going to UConn. They'll figure it out. Danny Hurley will figure it out. It seems like an insane expectation that they should be competing for a national title next year. But that's how it works. So you when you're that good and you've won 2 in a row, I do think all eyes turn to you and say, can you do it again? Florida, after winning their back-to-back, they went to the NIT, I think. Yeah, they did, because they were in the NIT Final Four that year in 2008. So, yeah, that's the precedent. Now, how much that matters, I don't know, but it is interesting that it does sort of feel like you kind of the last 2 runs they went on were so dominant, and it's not just about the personnel, even though the personnel is really good, obviously, but to do it 2 separate teams where there's so much roster turnover from the 23 team to the 24 team, and they brought back the 3 guys, but they lost most of their top scorers. I think what you do is you set a precedent that it's less about like one guy, it's less about UConn, like, you know, leaning on a Zach Edey type, and that's the reason they've been good the last couple of years. And it's more that culture and that system and that offense is the reason they're so good. And with that, there's a belief maybe that Dan Hurley will just like get some transfers in the portal, and maybe McNeely commits and he's coming to UConn too, and then they'll just run whoever they throw out on the court next year with the culture and the coaching and the offensive scheme. Maybe they'll win a national championship too, and I'm not in any position to say they won't. But that's just crazy that UConn is so dominant that now it like does feel like next year it's like, all right, well, like if UConn gets like a 9 seed in the tournament next year, that's gonna feel like a massive disappointment, and it shouldn't because it's very, very hard to be consistently great in this sport, but they found a way. Also, other things I didn't talk about with Jake, I bet on Purdue. I put the biggest amount of money in my life on Purdue before that game. I'm not really a massive bettor as I bet every so often, but I don't love throwing around a ton of money because it just freaks me out. But I put $500 on Purdue to win the national championship, which was one of the dumbest things ever. Obviously, I don't even know if I thought they were going to win. I just like. You were sitting next to me, TJ. It was like 20 minutes before the game. I just had basically there were so many Purdue fans out there, and they were talking so much shit to me for reasons I still don't fully understand. Like this year, I moving forward, and Wednesday will be a big day because it's the Purdue Day of Giving, and I will give money to Purdue. I promised if they make the Final Four, I will keep the donations coming, and they did. But it's a long road to recovery with me and Purdue fans. What happened this year were like they out at the Final Four, dude. They were like coming up to me with switchblades. It felt like they were ready to cut my neck, and I was like, "Are you mistaken?" And then it dawned on me that they're conflating one, what my father says on this show, two, what Blutman started popping on the show in March, and he's just shitting all over Zach Edey, and these people would conflate what they were saying with me, and I don't know. I was on the back foot and the entire time we were in Arizona because Purdue fans were just like, fuck you, dude. Why do you hate us so much? I was like, I never said I hated you. I just said I don't want to watch Zach Edey play basketball anymore. That's all. Is that fair? But I had so many Purdue fans that were like so confident, like bizarrely very, very confident that they were going to win the national championship that I think I was just swayed by it. I think I was like walking to the arena. I realized I looked around the arena. It was like 90% Purdue fans. And I was like, "Fuck it, dude! Like, you get good odds on a bet on Purdue. I'll throw some coin on Purdue and see what happens." And then they got absolutely stomped. So, yeah, I lost $500 on Purdue. So this idea that like I hated Purdue or I thought that Purdue was dog shit. I never thought Purdue was a bad team. In fact, I said the opposite all year. I just said that I didn't really love watching Edey play, but I kind of will miss Edey. Will I? I don't know. I'll miss the shared the shared guy to just like. Yeah, he brought a lot of people together. We'll put it that way.
Villains create storylines.
Yeah.
And I don't even think he was that much. He kind of embraced the villain role more this year, but he was at least something to talk about, and that's good. And it was, like you said, something to collectively be mad about. Which does create storylines, which is good for college basketball.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like he himself was not much of a villain. His entire existence was the villain. Like somehow his... Yeah, it was a weird dynamic, but that made it kind of interesting throughout the year. I don't know if I told you this, by the way. My dad, who's doing better, by the way. I don't know what happened. He went into hiding there for a little while. Like Dad would stop, like all throughout the month of March. It felt like Dad wouldn't answer my phone calls. I was like, Dad, you want to come on the show? And he's like, I don't know who this is. How'd you get this number? And then suddenly Purdue loses, and he was ready to talk. But I for my dad, who is the biggest Zach Edey hater at a time where most of the country, by the time Purdue's run was over, it did feel like everybody hated that guy, and was, although the national championship was huge for the Zeddy legacy, or the Zach Edey legacy. That run he had in the first half, the dominance was very, very cool. But it kind of like underscored, like, why don't you do this more? Like when he went up and under on Donovan Clingan, I about fell out of my chair. I was like, holy shit, he's added a counter to his game. He's going over the left shoulder. No, he's not. Up and under, and then he finishes on the left side of the basket. I was like, oh no, this is what I've been complaining about all season, that he didn't have this. But yeah, my dad calls me after the game, after we get done with the show with Jake, and I don't know if I told you this, TJ, but I found my present I gave to my dad was the confetti in front of Purdue's bench where Zach Edey walked off a college basketball court for the last time. I took all the confetti that was like right by there, and I gave it to my dad, and he was so happy because he's a generational hater. And now we move forward and we see how Dad handles it, because I haven't really talked to Dad about how the season ended or how Purdue's, I'm sure he's just going to say they didn't win a championship and banners are all that matters and all that. But it's been a long time since the Hoosiers have been to a Final Four, and Purdue just went to one. So maybe we'll get him on the show at some point in the summer, and I'll do my best to turn the screws on him a little bit, because the balance of power has shifted to West Lafayette big time. If it hasn't already, I mean, Purdue has been for a long time owning that rivalry. But yeah, I got Dad the Edey confetti, and I thought that was. He loved it. I don't know what he's gonna like frame it. He might just like walk around and just smell it every day. I don't know. He's such a hater. So anyway, fun national championship, fun Final Four. UConn obviously kicked ass, and I do think the overreactions were not actually overreactions. I do think that team was unbelievable. And the more I'll just like sit there and think about it in the middle of the day, and I'm just like, man, I'm going to miss Cam Spencer so much. I'm going to miss Donovan Clingan so much. But I said that about the team last year, that I was going to miss Hawkins. And so who the hell knows who they have coming down the pike? Maybe they'll be back in the mix. But yeah, it is transfer portal and coaching carousel season. Like I said, the carousel has sort of died down, I guess. Like I don't know what jobs were looking to be filled now. I know Chicago State is open, so that has my attention. If only there were a guy who lived in Chicago, who knew ball, who has shown an interest in coaching the Cougars before, that they could turn to. I don't know who that guy would be, but I'm sure he's a handsome fella. I just like when I close my eyes and picture that guy, he's probably a handsome fella. I don't know. I don't. When Chicago State job opened up, people were reaching out to me, and they're like, "Are you gonna go for it again?" I don't know. I think the ship has sailed, but also, I think I have to. I don't know. That's something I'm going to think about. I'm going to see how long the job stays open, and then I might take a swing at it. We get me and Tate and Bosco. We got to get Bosco to get on staff, dude. Quick break to talk about our friends at Sport Clips. Your hair may grow fast, but after going to Sport Clips haircuts, you'll wish it grew even faster. That's because Sport Clips has the best seats in hair, and they may or may not be because they happen to be right in front of the TVs playing sports all day, every day. We know that watching sports while getting a haircut sure beats watching your reflection while getting a haircut, which is why at Sport Clips, every day is clippers and curveballs, high tops and Hail Marys, and even waves and wickets if you're into that kind of thing. At Sport Clips, you can check in with the pros in men's hair and totally check out with pure, uninterrupted relaxation. So, yeah, come watch an endless stream of sports on TV while getting an awesome haircut. What an incredible time to be a sports fan right now with the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, baseball's going on. Golf, Scotty Scheffler's winning every single tournament in golf. We got horse racing season coming up soon. Don't forget about that. Boxing is back into the forefront of our minds. Ton of sports going on. You might feel like you don't have time to squeeze in a haircut with all the sports going on. You don't want to miss anything, but I got great news for you. You can do both at the same time. Go to Sport Clips, get your haircut, watch the game. Sport Clips, it's a game changer. I somehow got I don't know. Never mind. Somehow I know how. Rico watched that clip. I think Dan Hurley. Let me find the genesis of this. I think it was Dan Hurley on the JJ Redick podcast talking about his set plays and the offense they run at UConn and all that. And Rico texts Tate and I, and he just says porn. Yeah, it was. It was that Dan Hurley. It was going around in basketball circles. Dan Hurley's talking about it's a 3-minute clip. He's talking about how his staff built the UConn offense and all that. And Rico just texts. He starts a group text that has never existed before. First text he sends to Tate and I, and just says porn. And then Tate responds and whatever. And now somehow those two guys are like flexing their basketball knowledge on each other, and I'm just like stuck in the middle. And I don't want to leave the group text, but I don't know how to handle it. So, yeah, I guess they would have to be on my staff if I was to take the Chicago State job. But otherwise, yeah, most of the big jobs seem to have been filled. Muss went to Andy Enfield going to SMU, triggers Muss going to USC, Cal goes to Arkansas, and then Kentucky hires Mark Pope. And I have not been doing a show since this is the first show I've done since Mark Pope got hired at Kentucky. Rightfully, I would say when he was hired, I think the reaction was okay. Like it makes sense to me. Like, it's a guy who has never won an NCAA tournament game. This is a Kentucky program that would tell you it's the best program in the country, and if it's not the best, it's certainly one of the 2 or 3 best. And I think the belief in Lexington was they were going to get Dan Hurley. Okay, Dan Hurley doesn't want the job, fine. We'll just pivot to Billy Donovan. Okay, Billy Donovan doesn't want the job. We'll pivot to Scott Drew or Nate Oates. Or, like, the names they were throwing around were heavy hitters. They were names that you would assume a program like Kentucky would get. And I've complained in the past about these coaching carousel searches are the days of the heavy hitters jumping ship. It just doesn't seem to happen quite as often, which is why I think Cal going to Arkansas did make so many waves. For other reasons as well, where it felt like Cal was going to get fired. He decides to come back, or they decide to have him back, and then he leaves. Like, there were a lot of reasons why Cal to Arkansas popped, but I think chief among them is that this sort of thing doesn't happen that often, that you get a big-name coach who voluntarily leaves a program to go to another program. So when Cal did that, it was like, holy shit, this is – it used to happen a little more often, and it doesn't feel like it happens quite as often in college basketball. So I think there was an expectation that Kentucky was going to do the same thing, and we were going to get another domino that was going to fall, where if Scott Drew leaves Baylor, okay, now who's Baylor going to hire? Because that's a pretty good job. If Nate Oates leaves Bama, that Bama job has become attractive. Like, who would they hire? Obviously, if Kentucky got Dan Hurley, that would have been like an earthquake in the sport. That would have been that would have been unprecedented. A guy won back-to-back national championships, and I don't know how realistic they thought that was, but money talks, and I don't know what they offered him if they're throwing like $10 to $15 million a year at him. Maybe it was realistic. I don't know, but that was the vein of what we thought Kentucky's hire was going to be. So when they land on Mark Pope, they go the alumni route. They go. They hired BYU's coach, and I think when you just say it like that, you hire Kentucky. The Kentucky basketball job was open, and they hired a guy from BYU that's never won an NCAA tournament game. It does seem insane. But I will say I've been a massive Mark Pope fan for years. I am a little worried about the job swallowing him alive, just because I would be worried about anybody about the job swallowing. Kentucky could have hired Steve Kerr, and I would have been worried that Steve Kerr might not be built for this. Like, that's just the nature of that job. So a little part of me is worried that a guy gets hired. He was the captain of the '96 Kentucky team. If there's any hire that you would assume that the Kentucky fans would be like, hell yeah, that's our guy, I don't know if he's the right coach, whatever. But like, fuck it, we have to get behind this guy because we love I love Mark Pope so much. How can you not love him? I would assume it would have been him. I would assume that like, whether if Kentucky fans were hoping for Scott Drew, but they got Mark Pope, they wouldn't be that upset because you'd almost rather like lose with someone you love than win with a stranger that you don't really know much about. And like it's it's a cultural fit that maybe doesn't work out. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. There is a lot to be said about like having a guy who was the fucking captain of your national championship team. So when the reaction was what it was, I was a little bit surprised. And granted, I do understand that his credentials aren't top tier, but what a likable guy he is, and not in like a John Calipari way, like an actually super likable guy. And beyond that, like beyond the personality, who Mark Pope is like a big time goofball in like a really good way. To me, he's like the exact opposite of Cal, which for some Kentucky fans that might be a problem. For me, I'm like, dude, Kentucky might actually be likable moving forward. This is crazy. But beyond that, I think you look at like the offense he runs and the guys he plays and how deep into his bench he goes, and just he just has like a fun coaching style. He's very much a player's coach. I think I'm not gonna say it's a home run hire he should have been their first call. I'm not that stupid, but no, I would give the guy a chance. Like I think I would not be surprised if Mark Pope does in fact work out at Kentucky, because I also think like him playing there. The part of that job that swallows you alive is the crazy fans. It's Big Blue Nation. It's like the expectation and the insanity and all that. And so far, he's just been smiling through it all. And I think like he knows, having played there, he knows how crazy everybody is. And I think if you can just kind of laugh at yourself and laugh at the situation, maybe he won't feel the pressure as much. And maybe there's a part of him that like, this is the dream job, and for me, if I was in his shoes, I'd be like, man, I can't fuck this up. This is my one shot at being the head coach of Kentucky. But maybe he's like, man, I'm playing with house money. Like the fact that I'm the head coach of Kentucky is wild. Which again might not be things that Kentucky fans want to hear, but I love the guy. I've loved watching his teams. I've loved watching his press conferences. I'm very much a Mark Pope fan, and things change. And I've said this about other coaching hires that I think they're going to work out, and they end up not. So who the hell knows if it actually will? That's kind of where we're at with all these coaching searches. Is you kind of just don't know anymore. The two I point to are Mick Cronin at UCLA and Archie Miller at Indiana. I thought Cronin at UCLA stylistically was a horrific fit, and they had just got done with Steve Alford and Ben Howland type basketball. Like, why the hell would they go down the same path with Mick Cronin? Like, that makes zero sense to me. Not that Cronin's a bad coach, but like, boy, you just got rid of two coaches that coach very similarly to the way that Mick Cronin likes to run his teams. Like, why would you do this? This is insane. And then when Indiana hired Archie Miller, I was like, that's as home run of a hire as it gets. Like, that just made so much sense. When Arch was leaving Dayton, he was such a hot name and such a hot coach, and it just felt like it just made perfect sense. And he wins the press conference. He's like, I'm going to recruit the whole state of Indiana. We're going to get all the best players in Indiana. I don't know. I remember Arch getting hired. I was like, there's no way this isn't going to work. And Cronin getting hired, I was like, boy, I don't know how this is going to work. And I was very wrong about both of those. So who the hell knows what happens with Pope in Kentucky? But yeah, I was happy for Mark Pope, and I think Kentucky fans should be fired up about it. And at this point, I do think they're coming around. I think, like, what else are you going to do? You're just going to stamp your feet and bitch and moan that you don't like the coach, and maybe that is the case. But I do think that Pope will be on a shorter leash than Cal was, in terms of if you're like 4 or 5 years in and Pope stinks, I don't think the fact that he's an alum. A lot of times with these alum situations, like Juwan Howard's a good example, or when Patrick Ewing's at Georgetown, you're scared to fire the guy because he's your guy, and it's like, if we fire him, are we turning our back on like one of the more important teams in that era of what our program was and all that? Like, should we? I don't think Kentucky will do it that way. I think they were more scared to fire Cal than they would be to fire Mark Pope if he doesn't work out. So I don't think it's a situation where Kentucky's going to go into this relationship and it's going to be like uncomfortable, where a few years in, he's obviously not the right guy, and now we just have to ride this out for another 5 or 6 years until he hopefully, sees the writing on the wall and steps down on his own. I don't think it's going to be that. I think Kentucky, if Pope stinks, they'll fire him. They'll move on to the next guy. and such is life in college basketball. But it is interesting that Kentucky fans are now. I didn't think they could bring back Cal. I think they should have fired Cal. They shouldn't have let Cal on the team bus after they lost to Oakland. I was so done with Cal at that point, and I'm not even a Kentucky fan. But it is interesting because now part of firing a guy is now you have to replace him, and now you have to figure out what's next. And for all of Cal's flaws, you kind of did know that there were going to be NBA players, and there was a certain the floor was very high at Kentucky. Now they did have the 9-win season a couple years ago when they weren't very good, and that was horrendous. But generally under John Calipari, they had some disappointing years. But the reason they're so disappointing is because there's so much talent, and the floor was very, very high for basically every Kentucky team. I don't know what the expectations are for Kentucky moving forward now. I don't know this next year's team. Who knows? Who knows how good they'll be? Who knows Mark Pope, what the floor ceiling situation looks like, and that's got to be very scary for a program that's used to winning. And had Billy Gillispie as their coach, got rid of him, hire Cal, and things were rolling there for a little bit, and now they're worried about going back to the dark ages of Gillispie. So fascinating hire to say the least. But I didn't think I had a little more. I had like everyone else was like shitting their pants. I just kind of raised my eyebrows. I was just like, oh, I was a little bit of that. That was my reaction. Was oh, okay. Not, holy shit, what are they doing? Which seems to be what everyone else's reaction was.
I think the term that a lot of people used was that they were a joke when they brought Cal back after losing to Oakland. Was like, oh, this, like, you guys will never give this guy up. It's a lifetime contract, and you're going to acknowledge it. Are they more of a joke or less than a joke for having gone through it the way they did and ending up where they are now, where it's like, where's fan expectations supposed to be, that sort of thing? Is that more of a joke?
I think they're less of a joke because I think it's better to step into the batter's box and take swings and go for it than it is to like run it back with Cal, which to me was an admission that like we are not taking this serious. We don't care. Like if they were bringing John Calipari back next year, you're telling me you just simply don't care about winning national championships. Now, it might not work out for Mark Pope. He might win 10 games each season, the next 5 seasons. He probably won't last out. If you win 10 games, you'll get fired pretty quickly. But he might have horrendous results. But I think you have to try. You have to take the swings. And if it doesn't work out, you just move on to the next guy. And I think they're in a good spot with that. So, yeah, as far as the program, I think they're less of a joke. But, it's a tough spot to be like, we're going to bring Cal back. Cal says, no, you're not. I'm actually going to Arkansas. I'm going to this in-conference rival, which would never sit well with me if you're Kentucky in general, your coach voluntarily leaving wouldn't sit well. But for him to go to an in-conference rival would definitely not sit well. And then now you have a job open, and there's an assumption that you're going to be able to just get whoever you want. Let's just write a blank check to Dan Hurley, and you end up with your 6th or 7th or 8th. Who the hell knows where Mark Pope was on the list? That's the guy you hire. Yeah, the way we got here does not look great for Kentucky. But I do think that I think having a guy like Mark Pope, he's never won an NCAA tournament game. That's not good. He's also a young coach, though, and who knows? Like at some point, these narratives get flipped on their head. It's not like he's been around for 20 years and never won an NCAA tournament game. So I think at least they're trying something. And again, Kentucky fans hear me say that, and they're like, that's the whole point, is that we are Kentucky, and the fact that you're just saying at least they're trying. Like, we don't want that bullshit. We want to win championships, God damn it. We don't want to just try. I'm here to tell you weren't winning a national championship with John Calipari again. It was never happening again. You were done. He was that whole thing was done. So bringing him back to me would have been a bigger joke. And now he's at Arkansas, and he hired Kenny Payne as an assistant. Kenny Payne to Arkansas as Cal's. He's getting the band back together. This is going to be. Can you imagine? By the way, I thought about this the other day. John Calipari has been given a war chest in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and he's been given Kenny Payne, who, not a great head coach. We saw that, one of the worst head coaches maybe of all time. But Kenny Payne did build a reputation as a great recruiter, great assistant coach. That's the whole reason he got hired at Louisville in the first place. John Calipari having Kenny Payne's recruiting acumen with all that money, oh my God, dude, they could put together some really good rosters, I think. Like, can you imagine a John Calipari team with a ton of talent, just being way more talented than everybody else? He's going to win every national championship. How is he going to lose? How is a guy like that going to lose? We've never seen Cal with these resources. I'm kidding, of course. yeah, I don't understand how Cal's going to work at Arkansas. If it didn't work at Kentucky, like what is Arkansas going to give him that? But having said that, I also think if you're an Arkansas fan, you get excited about your guy. How could you not? There's buzz to the program. I do think Cal. I from watching some of the videos, I think the Woo Pig Suey calling the Hogs thing. I think he hates it. I think he's like, this is gonna kill me. I like being in an arena with people that are woo. I don't even know how it goes. Woo Pig Suey. I think that's all it is. And then they're like, are they shooting guns? Are there guns of that? Like, woo, pig shoot. But I watching him watch Arkansas fans has been a treat. Where he's just like, God damn it, what did I get myself into? These people are crazy. But they are crazy. That's Arkansas basketball fans are awesome. I very badly want to go to a game there, and maybe with Cal being there, this would be the year to do it, I guess. Because they will be. I saw Big Z transferred from Kentucky to the guy that was the missing piece for Kentucky to win the national championship this year is going to Arkansas. So that's exciting. Other coaching carousel things that have. Oh, Chris Mack to Charleston kind of snuck under the radar, but I'm curious. I always felt like Chris Mack was. I don't want to say Louisville fucked up by fired him or like he was given a raw deal or anything else like that. Like I don't care that much. But I always felt like Chris Mack was a good basketball coach, and Chris Mack, the Indian at Louisville was really weird because he got into some weird stuff with Dino Gaudio, and I don't remember all the details, but now that I'm thinking about it, like there was like extortion bullshit going on, and boy, that stretch of Louisville basketball after Pitino, it was even. I mean, with Pitino, like Pitino's last 5 years, and then everything that's happened since has been nuts. But Chris Mack has always, to me, been a good basketball coach, and I've been waiting for him to get back in the mix, and it felt like there for a second he was going to go to Vanderbilt. It felt like that was a done deal, and I don't know what kept that from happening, or maybe it just wasn't actually the done deal we thought it was. But yeah, Chris Mack going to Charleston, Charleston's become a decent program, and I would love to see him back on a college basketball sideline. I'm trying to remember what his last. Yeah, and then of course, obviously with the Pat Kelsey being at Louisville now, and Chris Mack, Louisville's old coach, is at Charleston. That's certainly interesting. Chris Mack, when was he last coach? How many years has he taken off? 2022. Oh, so he took 22. He took 2 years off. That's not bad. I can't believe he left Xavier. I mean, you kind of have to. You have to chase the bag, but like that was wild to me when he's coaching at his alma mater, and they were killing it. Were they a 1 seed his last season at Xavier? They were no, they were the 1 seed. Were they the 1 seed? 2018 Xavier basketball. Yeah, they were a 1 seed, right? Do I have this right? I don't know, dude. I hate getting old. Yeah, they were a 1 seed. They were a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament his last year. He has his alma mater as a 1 seed. They lost in the second round to Florida State. But yeah, he had a decent run there at Xavier, and then obviously jumped and took the bag to Louisville. But that was crazy. So Chris Mack is a guy who, I would have expected him to get a bigger job, but he's been out of the game for 2 years. So I'm curious to see. Pat Kelsey did a great job building up that program at Charleston. Now Chris Mack gets to take over and see what he's made of now that he's been out of the game for a couple years. The Mark Titus Show is brought to you by Visible. If you haven't heard of Visible, now you have. They're the wireless carrier that's making wireless visible. It's in the name. Switch to Visible, the wireless company that makes wireless visible. With a one-line plan, you can get unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon, just $25 a month. Taxes and fees are included. One-line wireless is just $25 per month. Taxes and fees are included in that price. Visible is the wireless company that makes wireless visible. No hidden fees. No, really. We mean that. Save on wireless with unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon. In times of traffic, your data may be temporarily slower than other traffic. 5G access required a 5G capable device in a 5G coverage area. Monthly rate on the Visible plan. Terms apply. See visible.com. Switch now at visible.com. Okay, enough of all that. It's time for me to be a complaining, whiny bitch, because I want to talk about the transfer portal, and I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to talk about the transfer portal in general. We have reached a point now where everybody It does feel like everybody feels the same way. Coaches feel that way. The media people feel that way. Like there was a while where it was like people were very excited about it because chaos is fun and shaking things up is fun. And like players have been, I do think players were fucked by the system for a while. So like now they have more rights and more freedom and all that, and that's great. And we're all celebrating that. But it has show me one person that's like talked about the transfer portal and not complained about it, basically. Like one person that's like, this is fucking awesome. I love it. You know what I've been waiting for my whole life? Like I've been watching a lot of college basketball. I've been watching it my whole life and I love it. But what I've been waiting for the whole time is a system where guys can just bounce around to any team at a moment's notice, where coaches have to recruit their own players back, where guys who are on a team have to announce that they're coming back to the team because it wasn't a guarantee that they were. Where every single year in the offseason we have to, if you haven't heard from the guy who was your starting point guard, if he hasn't put out a graphic that he's coming back to school, you should be very, very worried, because you have to announce that you're coming back. It used to be that you just, if you're going to the NBA, you say, I'm going to the NBA. If you're not going to the NBA, you just go to the gym and you're practicing and you're on the team, and we just assume you're going to be back next year. Now guys are putting out statements. It's like, I'm coming back. But even the guys that are putting out the statements that they're coming back, Felix Okpara is the one that hits close to home for me, puts out a statement. I'm 100%. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read the fucking statement he put out.
should we each do our team's guy that said he was coming back?
Yeah. And I want to be clear. Before I do this is one of the hardest things about talking about the transfer portal is everybody bitches about it. Everybody hates it. But it's impossible to do it without sounding like you're sour grapes. Like you're and so what happens is like everybody has the same complaint, but if it's not a complaint that like hits you personally, if you're someone who's like an Indiana State fan comes to me and they're like, man, this college basketball fucking sucks, dude. We had such a fun team. We had so many great guys. Now our coach leaves and all our players leave, and now I don't even know what the hell we are next year. I don't care one way or another about Indiana State, so I shrug my shoulders and I go, damn, man, that sucks for you. Sucks for you, man. Did you see that Ohio State got Bradshaw in the portal and Michi Johnson in the portal? And we got some dudes, man. I think our team's going to be better. Sucks for you, man. But then when it happens to you, you're like, wait, this sucks now. And so like everybody is just complaining about like the thing that impacted them. We're all in agreement that it sucks. But anytime any individual person complains about it, it feels like there's way too much, like you're just saying that because your guy left. And when guys transfer out of the team that you care about, they actually suck and you're not going to miss them at all. But it is interesting how you're so mad about how they transferred, but also they do suck. And that seems to be how every fan treats it, is like, we're not going to miss that guy at all. He fucking sucked. That guy fucking sucked. They just get like angry about him leaving. And it's like, well, if he sucks so much, why are you so worked up about this? And then every guy that transfers in is a game changer, and this changes this is unbelievable. I mean, this guy, I cannot believe that we got this 30% 3-point shooter. Like this is gonna be the not. I know he can't shoot. I know the stats say he can't shoot, but I think when he, I think when he puts on our jersey, he's gonna be able to shoot. I really do. I think the change of scenery, he's gonna develop a jump shot. That's how everybody handles it. But like the discourse around transfer portal is so, everyone that gets upset about it is so like bitter about something that just happened. And instead of like the conclusion being like, damn, all of us college basketball fans seem to kind of fucking hate this, it feels like we all just kind of point and laugh at the guy who's worked up about the transfer portal today. And I'm here to tell you, it's going to be me today. So Felix Okpara, where's the statement? Felix Okpara, statement back at Ohio State. By the way, I just Googled Felix Okpara. I typed statement, and the top suggestion was statement on Israel. So I don't know if he had a statement about that as well, but before I wonder if he changed his opinion on that. Every statement he puts out, he's
in
just
the transfer portal on the Middle East.
Yeah, the Middle East. The team's leading rebounder and shot blocker. Okpara started all but 2 games. I am excited and grateful to announce that I am 100% committed to running it back with OSU and Buckeye Nation, Okpara wrote in a social media post. Can't wait to start a new chapter with Coach Deebs. He's nicknaming the coach. He's in it with the Coach Deebs. My returning teammates and the new staff and players to get Ohio State back in our rightful spot at the top of the Big Ten. Thank you and love support from the fans. My family and the Ohio State University family for being through me this amazing journey. So yeah, I like Felix a lot. I thought he was an awesome shot blocker, and I really loved watching him grow from year 1 to year 2. Ohio State did bring in Aaron Bradshaw. That's the thing that probably triggered all this. Aaron Bradshaw, 5-star recruit, goes to Kentucky last year, shows some flashes, has some foul trouble, doesn't quite live up to like the 5-star billing that Kentucky fans are used to their 5 stars being. But he's still, a very talented guy. Ohio State gets him in the transfer portal. He's a 7-footer. Felix Akpara is basically a 7-footer. They both sort of play the same position, and Felix decided he didn't want to compete for the starting job, or he figured like they probably brought him in and I'm going to come off the whatever. All of that makes sense. And as a Buckeye fan, honestly, like I don't see, it's a negligible difference to me, Aaron Bradshaw and Felix Akpara. Like I don't care that much. Like I think Aaron Bradshaw is going to be just fine for us, and I don't know how badly we're going to miss Felix. But the idea that we're living in a time as college basketball fans where dudes are putting out, I'm 100% committed, and then you're not. And I shouldn't be so naive as to think, but it's just like, it's less about like me being naive and blindsided by this shit, because at a certain point you do just become jaded and you never really know what to believe. And it's more that like, what is the point of this fucking system? What is the point of commitment? What is the point of like, what is the point of any of this? What is the point of me as a college basketball fan paying attention to any of this shit before November? Just like, tell me when November gets here, we'll tip the ball off, and then I'll figure out who's on my team then, because that seems to be how a lot of fans are handling it. That's where we're at with the transfer portal, and Ohio State. Like again, we brought in Michi Johnson. Micah Parrish from San Diego State can't shoot, but he can guard. He played in national. He's got the little bit of a pedigree. I'm not saying he's the guy that's going to push us over the top. But Aaron Bradshaw, Michi Johnson, Micah Parrish, like those are 3 dudes that Ohio State brought in. I think we're going to be better. We lost some guys. We brought in some guys like every other team. I think Ohio State is going to be better next year than they were this year. I am very excited about the future. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, I'm not going to cry that much about the guys we're losing. But there is, for this back-to-back, I think it might have been 2 days in a row now, to have Felix Akpara, the circumstances of Felix Akpara announcing I'm 100% committed to coming back, and then he's not, and then to have Roddy Gale transfer to Michigan today, I don't know. It's just and Aiden Holloway transfers from Auburn to Alabama, and there are some people that say, I guess there are some people out there that are like, good for them. That's what this. I don't know how you can see this shit and not just like be like, this is the dumbest shit. Like this sport has become just fucking insane, and it is horrendous for the sport that rivalries don't exist and guys are chasing bags, and everybody always says, but coaches do it. What's the difference between the coaches are under contract? So when the coaches do it, they have to figure out a buyout. You know how many coaches wanted to leave their school that they were at and go, but they couldn't figure out the buyout. They couldn't figure out the terms. They couldn't, and that's how the free market should work. Should be contracts, and I think that's ultimately what the complaint is like there's no standard whatsoever. And you could say that the transfer portal is only open for this amount of time, and before then there's no tampering. We all know the reality. We all know that these guys are being tampered with at all times. We all know that the portal being open means jack shit. It just means that's when it becomes a formality. And yeah, it's a very depressing time when you look around. And the hope is there will be a time somewhere down the line where all this will be fixed and like a system will be put in place. I don't know what that system looks like. The NCAA is running around with their like a chicken with their head cut off. They seem to have no idea what the fuck to do about any of this. They were holding so tight to the amateurism model. It exploded. The dam has broken. It's burst wide open. And, instead of like figuring out what's next, it feels like the NCAA is just like picking up like individual pieces of pebble and trying to put them back into the dam where they were. And it's like, what is this? Today, I mean, maybe we if we did a show 4 days ago, I wouldn't be quite as fired up about the transfer portal stuff because it didn't happen to Ohio State guys. And I swear to God, my hand to God, Roddy Gale and Felix Akpara, I don't think like them coming back or leaving was going to make that much of a difference for Ohio State. But it's just like to have an emotional connection to those two guys and for them to not just leave, but leave under the circumstances they left under. I'm not saying it's their fault. I'm not saying they're assholes and fuck them and all that, although a lot of Ohio State fans will feel exactly that way about Roddy Gale. It all makes sense. I know how we got here. It's just a depressing reality that this is where we're at. Yeah. It just sucks.
And that, like there's no clear way to fix it. I guess contracts, but
yeah.
Like if a kid doesn't have to sign a 3-year deal, he's not gonna you can't guarantee that he's gonna stay in college basketball for that long.
Right.
Anyway,
if he just goes to the NBA and then
or goes foreign route I don't really know if there is a solution.
That's what never mind the Ohio State part, because again, when you complain about Ohio, everyone's just like, why would I give a fuck about your complaint about writing? It's never, forget all that. I don't even know, as a college basketball fan, I'm not even, this is not hyperbole, this is genuinely how I feel. I am not 100% sure that Cooper Flagg will ever play a second of college basketball. And people listening to this are like, you're insane. Of course he's going to commit to Duke, he's going to play, and I'm sure he will. We'll look up and we'll be like, I can't believe you said that you weren't 100%. I hope that's the case. I'm just telling you, as a fan of this sport, I don't even know what the rules are anymore. I don't know what any of this shit means. I don't know. Cooper Flagg can't go to the NBA. I know that. And I know the G League Ignite has gone belly up. But, like, it happened to Louisville. Louisville's top recruit last year showed up on campus ready to play. And then he's like, fuck this, dude. I'm going to Australia. And who knows where he's at now and where he's going to get drafted and all that. That's the part that sucks to me, is, like, none of these – the announcement doesn't even matter. Like it used to be, like, as recently as like 2 or 3 years ago, a guy would announce he was transferring, and you're like, whoa, Chucky Hepburn transferring from Wisconsin. Whoa, that's a big deal. But now, I don't even know if that announcement is even really a real announcement. Chucky Hepburn might just go back to Wisconsin, or might not, or he might transfer, but then, like, announce that he's going to play at Wichita State, but then, like, never actually play at Wichita State because he actually is transferred. Once he gets to Wichita State, he transfers somewhere else. And I'm not trying to, I swear to God, I'm not just trying to, like, ham it up for effect. Like, I genuinely am at a point where I'm consuming this stuff, and I'm just like, I love the sport. I've watched it my whole life. I was lucky enough to participate on a team for 4 years. Like, this is one of the more important things in the world to me, and I have no fucking clue how it works. And it's so frustrating that like anything seemingly goes, and we don't know we don't know what rosters look like until November. It's crazy. Rutgers is getting burned by it too, right?
Yeah, pretty bad. Gavin Griffiths, who was a 5-star that was like went to Rutgers over UConn. We were like, when he committed, everyone was like, this is going to be awesome when he gets to play with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, and then that's the core. And he put out a quote saying, I will never transfer. It's not even a question. Not on my mind. I'm at Rutgers for the long haul.
He did the
Don't
same.
even ask him. Like, I'm willing. He was like, I'm open to talking about the transfer portal because I know I'll never be in it. He's playing at Nebraska next year. So he's going to be playing at Rutgers as a visitor.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it sucked. Like, like you said, it sucks when it happens to your team directly. And I guess that's when you kind of like snap into it and you're like, oh, this is like a problem. Cause
but I identify it's a problem. I mean, there's so many, I don't know, man, but this is the problem, is everybody talks about this and then they say, I don't know, I guess kids should be able to do what they want to do, but it's the pendulum swung way too far. Like, they gotta figure something out. You can't just let guys transfer however many times they want for however much money. Like, it's fucking crazy with no contracts. I think that's the part. There just has to be some recourse. There has to be some sort of recourse to you got to be able to, like, sign guys to multi-year, but, like, there's no collective bargaining agreement between the players and the coaches / athletic department. So, like, that's the difference between the NBA and college basketball. And I think, like, when NIL and the transfer portal and all this shit happened a few years ago and it first started really popping off, the people that were fired up about it, I think, thought we were getting, like, an NBA free agency type feel. Where, you know, it is fun. That's one of the part of the reason the NBA has become so popular for a lot of people, is less about the on-court product and more about the off-court shit and the moves and the rumors and the gossip and all that sort of thing. Like, the NBA is, it annoys the hell out of me at times, but that's something that they decided was important to them, and they really leaned into it. And NBA Twitter goes crazy in the summer when free agents make their decisions. And that's a huge part of that sport. I think the people that were fired up about college basketball having something similar thought it was going to work like that. But the big difference is, like, not every it's NBA free agency if every single player in the NBA every single year decided they took a step back and were like, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go to this other team. Which maybe that's what the NBA needs to do. I mean, that'd be, I guess, now that I hear myself say it out loud, that might be pretty fucking sick if every single year there's just a redraft in the NBA. Every single year.
That would be chaos.
Every player. That's what college basketball is. That's literally what it is. Imagine the NBA, the second the season is over, every single player in the NBA could go play wherever they wanted. And yeah, sure, there are roster limitations, and certain teams can only have so many guys on the roster. But But there's no salary caps in college basketball. There's no contracts. There's no limitations on where you can go and when you can go. And you know, people would point to, like, I don't know, some schools don't let guys in because of admissions and all that. But you know what I'm saying is, like, I mean, we have situations where rivals are transferring to rivals and whatnot. It's like, what even is this sport anymore? It's fucking crazy. And I do my best to. I'm just someone like that turned me off from the NBA to begin with. Like, LeBron making his decision going to Miami, like, of course that was awesome, or not, like, whatever. It was like a moment in pop culture and American culture, whatever. That was a thing. KD putting out his thing to go to the Warriors, like, what? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not interested in where these guys are going to play, but this whole ecosystem in the NBA of everyone jizzing their pants at, like, where this guy who averaged 17 a game is going. Oh my God, is he going to the Brooklyn Nets? He is. Oh my God, it's happening. Like, they do. Like, I that turns me off from the NBA. And it's happening to college at a much more extreme level. And I'm just, like, at a point where I'm like, I can't. I almost don't even know how to consume it, because I just want to, like, tune it all out until November, really. It's like, just let's just get to the games and let's watch them then, because it's such a whirlwind. I can't even make sense of it, and that's a problem because I do a college basketball show, and what else is there to and I do think there are some people that do probably like this, I guess. Like, if you're just, like, a general fan of college basketball, I don't know, like, who, maybe there's some people that like the chaos, because I don't even think, like, Big Cat brought it up on the-yak that he's bummed out about Chucky Hepburn and AJ Storrs going to Kansas now, and Chucky Hepburn, Chucky hasn't said where he's going, right? I don't think he has, to my knowledge. And he's bummed out Wisconsin loses their two guys, and rightfully so. It sucks. It's a kick in the dick when you have two guys you care greatly about and you think they're coming back and you're feeling good about next. And they had a good year, and that's the other part. Is that's the new part of this transfer situation. Is usually guys transfer because they're not getting playing time. The team sucks. There's, like, a lot of bad, and no, it's no longer bad. It's like, I'm transferring because last year went so well. That's the whole reason. Thank you so much for giving me the platform to have an awesome season. Now I'm out of here. But Dan was like, it sucks knowing that I'm a fan of a Wisconsin team that's never going to be able to compete at quite that level in terms of having the money to get these guys. And knowing that there's just going to be so much roster turnover every year that anytime we have a good player, he's going to go to, like AJ Storr, he's going to go to Kansas. But I would say to that point, like, I have to imagine, like, Kansas fans, you know, it's maybe not as sad when you might have the preseason #1 team again next year. But I have to imagine, like, even Kansas fans are like, if it's a system of haves and have-nots, the Kansas is very much a have, and I have to imagine even Kansas fans are like, I don't know, man. We got Hunter Dickinson last year, and we kind of fucking sucked. Like, we were the preseason #1 team last year because we were dipping going into the portal, and look where that got us. And now we're going to do it again, and you're telling me that we're going to be awesome, but, like, I don't know if I would love it that much. I don't know who loves it. I don't know what fan base is like, hell yeah, season over. Listen, it wasn't a great season for us, but the season is over, and now it's time to fucking hit the portal, and that's what we do here, baby. That's what we're known for. I cannot wait to see what – I mean, it was kind of that with Muss at Arkansas, but the wheels fell off of that as well, where it was, Quick break to talk about DraftKings. The 82-game preseason is in the books, and it's finally time for the real season. Don't miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in tournament through the finals, from every opening tip to every buzzer beater, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. And if you're new to this whole sports betting thing, it's super easy to get started. Try betting on something simple like a team win. Go to the app, select your team, and place your first bet. It is that simple. If you don't want simple, if you're someone that's like, that is too simple, Mark, I'm new to betting. I want something a little more spicy, though. Just picking a winner doesn't interest me. I was toying around on the DraftKings app the other day looking at all these NBA futures. You can, of course, bet on the NBA champion right now. The Boston Celtics, it says here, are plus 120 on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The Denver Nuggets are the second favorite at plus 290. And then the Clippers are third at plus 1,100. So DraftKings, like a lot of us, think that it's going to be Celtics Nuggets should be the very heavy favorites. But what I thought was awesome is DraftKings Sportsbook app has all these tabs that you can bet on the exact. There's one that says exact outcome. If you think that the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to, or no, this is the exact NBA Finals result. You can bet on the exact two teams to make the finals, and the winner of the finals. That entire scenario, you can bet on that. The exact round elimination is what I was thinking of. You can bet on if you think the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to make the conference finals but not go any further than that, they're going to lose exactly in the Eastern Conference Finals, you can bet on that on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. All sorts of props. It is a very fun time of year to be a sports gambler here on the DraftKings Sportsbook app, especially if you're an NBA fan. And here's something to sweeten the deal for all new customers. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. New customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Titus. That's code Titus to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I don't know how it's sustainable for all these programs to like continue to build that way, but also you have to do it because it's going to have to be sustainable because everybody's going to have to do it. That eventually it's going to be like I don't know what the term would be, like survivorship by like the whoever wins the national championship is inevitably going to lean on transfers, that you're going to point to them and be like, see, we do have to go after transfers, and everybody's going to do it. And it's just, but I don't know. I don't know who feels good about it is what I'm saying. I think even Kansas fans who are very used to getting 5-star recruits, very used to dropping bags, very used to like that's nothing new in Lawrence, but there's something a little different about how they're going about it now. And I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. I'm not saying you should feel dirty. None of that. I'm saying if I was a Kansas fan, there would be a part of me that's like, we're going to be good next year. And for some reason, I don't love, like something feels off. Something would feel off to me. I don't know.
It's also just hard, like even if you're a general college basketball perspective on it, like not taking any team fandom into account, it's hard to like sell somebody on college basketball next season,
right?
Because you don't know anything. Like it's hard to know anything about anything if every team has like a 60% roster turnover.
Right. You
can say the players are good, but you have no idea how they're going to play until any of them step out on the floor. Like Kansas being number one preseason because they got big transfers, but if they don't play together, they don't play well. It's hard to be like, hey, random guy, you should watch college basketball because this. Like,
yeah,
it makes it a lot harder when there's no team dynamics to speak off of.
It's true. History. Yeah, I mean Kansas wasn't horseshit last year. They were still a decent team, but yeah, like Timberlake was supposed to be like they UConn wanted Nick Timberlake, who went to Kansas. UConn wanted him instead of Cam Spencer. They wanted him badly, and they missed out on him, and then got Cam Spencer, and obviously that worked out great for him. But that Kansas thought they hit a home run getting those guys and bringing back the core they brought, and they're going to do it again. And you know it might work better this year. It might not. I have no idea. To your point, TJ, nobody really knows. But I don't know if this idea that like the people that are bitching about the transfer portal are just the teams that don't have enough money to compete. I don't even know if that's the case. I think even the teams with the money, all told, like they would prefer to not do it this way too. Yeah. I don't know why you would want to spend that much money on guys that, the numbers are insane, fucking insane. Umar Ballo apparently at Indiana, that's what the number they're throwing around is he's getting $1.2 million. Listen, you could say that this shit's been going on forever in college basketball and recruits are getting paid, and I would push back on it just to say that, like, yeah, there have been some recruits getting paid here and there through the years, like going back to like the 90s and 80s and all that. Like, yeah, of course, some recruits are getting paid. Not every player was getting paid. There was not like. The difference now is, one, every player is getting paid. If you're averaging more than 5 points a game, you're like, I got to put my name in the portal, so I got to see what my market value is. I would be responsible not to, and maybe they have a point, but that's very different. It used to be like, yeah, if you're like a top 20 recruit, sure, someone might drop a bag somewhere for you, but now everybody wants money. You now have to like, you know, deal with the eighth man on your bench is like, coach, I need some more money, or I'm going to transfer. That part's crazy. That part's very much different. The other part is the amount of money these guys are getting, which good for them, but also like it's staggering. It's staggering that Umar Ballo is getting 1.2. But what was Cam Newton? I know it's a different sport, but like Cam Newton, was he like $100,000? Cam Newton paid to go to. I remember. What was the number? It was $180,000. That's the number I remember now. Yeah. Cam Newton was reportedly paid between $120,000 to $180,000 to go to Auburn, and then they looked into who cares now. Auburn was cleared of any wrongdoing. Maybe he didn't. But the fact that like that wasn't the number reported to land fucking Newton to play football, and now Umar Ballo is getting $1.2 million from Indiana. That part is very different. And so the people that are like, this has been going on forever, bullshit. No, it hasn't. You haven't been dealing with guys demanding $1 million, which, you know, great for Ballo. It's just that's just a weird. If the system is schools that have money are going to be able to go out and buy the guys, and schools that don't aren't, and it's only the schools that don't have the money that are going to be upset. I disagree with that. And I think that when Indiana is killing it in the portal. Miles Rice comes to Indiana. Umar Ballo, like they should be pretty good next year based on what they have coming back. I don't know who can shoot for them. I don't know how well Woodson's going to be able to coach these boys up, but Indiana on paper should have a pretty good team next year. If it doesn't work out, if Indiana is a 10 seed in the tournament, if Indiana's on the bubble at the end of the year, to spend that much money to have that season has to be a huge kick in the dick. And it's not. And if you're an Indiana fan, it's not your money. Probably, I don't know. Some of them might donate, but like it's not really your money. But it's also got to feel weird to be like, why are we playing this game if all it does is lead to first or second round losses in the tournament? What is the point of all this? But also the point of it is everyone else is doing it, and you have to do it, and that's how you have to compete. And that is my ultimate point: is that I am disillusioned in the state of college basketball. And having said all that, I'm also part of the problem. Because, when November rolls around and I see an Ohio State basketball team take the floor, I don't care who's wearing the jerseys. I will cheer for them. Probably shouldn't say it like that because who could wear the jersey? If Adolf Hitler was wearing the jersey, I would disavow it. If Hitler was our starting point guard, I would not cheer for him. It's about it though. So it's about it. I don't know. Like I'm sure you're the same way, TJ. It's like all the state of
Hitler played for Rutgers.
You would disavow the state of Rutgers basketball right now. The flux going on with like all of it sucks, and you're kind of like this. I hate it all. I hate fucking college. The second the first game tips off, you're gonna be like, who are my guys?
Locked in. Yeah,
I'm locked in. These are my guys. Let's go win a championship.
You just have to wait a little bit longer to figure out who the guys are.
Yeah.
And I also do, with our recruiting class, feel ultimate anxiety at all times that one of them is going to not be on the team this year somehow.
That sucks, dude. You shouldn't have that.
Like you said the Cooper Flag thing, I worry about that every day. That
right.
Oh, Dylan Harper dropped 30 in the Jordan Classic. What if can Duke give him $5 million tomorrow to play? I don't know. I don't know
how. Yeah. Of course they can. I don't. Maybe not in writing, but like maybe
he signed his letter or whatever. But does that matter? I don't know.
None of it matters.
I just want to watch my guys play ball. I just want to watch my boys ball.
Yep, and that's the frustration. Is just like there has to be some sort of. I think if you're a guy if you sign a national letter of intent, my understanding is once you've signed the letter of intent, you're stuck. I don't know that to be the case anymore. But I think if you commit to a school, and then don't stand by your commitment, I think you should be executed. I think you should. I think you should.
I would say prison, maybe prison then execution.
I think you have to. I think we have to put our foot down as a sport and say like, enough is enough.
I don't know. I just want to.
Yeah, man. So there's the old man rant. I probably will do it a handful of other times throughout the season. Duke lost basically everybody, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Is like it's we as a sport have to we have to stay locked in. We have to stay locked in because what happens is you get fucked by the portal. Your team gets fucked by the portal, and you're like, this sucks. I hate the portal. But then you see a team like Duke lose everybody, and you're like, this is hilarious. This is the funniest thing ever. Duke had. They had Jeremy Roach transfer to Baylor. Mark Mitchell goes to Missouri. 5 other dudes also transfer. They're losing Filipowski and Jared McCain to the NBA. Basically, Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster are the only 2 guys that are back for Duke next year. They did just get Mason Gillis though. I saw Mason Gillis from Purdue sign, which I that's an awesome pickup for them. The broken record complaint I've had about Duke for the last 2 years is that they're soft, and that just is the well I keep going back to. Anytime we talk about Duke and I've run out of things to say, I'm just like, I think Duke's kind of soft. I think John Shire coaches a soft basketball team. Bringing in Mason Gillis is big time for that because he's a tough son of a bitch now. He's
hateable too.
Very hateable guy.
Punchable face.
Great shooter. Punchable face.
Pretty boy. Yeah. Get him out of here.
He'll have to have Coach K's son drive for him too,
Yeah.
just like Paolo Banchero did, because of his past. But yeah, it's a big pickup for the toughness part of Duke's situation they got going on there. But yeah, we can't applaud the portal when it decimates Duke, but then be mad when it, you know what I mean? Like we have to stay locked in. We have to all lock arms together as a community and be like, we all hate this. Or maybe if you're one of the weirdos out there that's like, I fucking love it, dude. I can't get enough of. I wish everybody transferred. I wish the system that you said with the NBA, where every single season every guy's a free agent.
Yeah.
Where you're by default in the transfer portal. Imagine that, where it's like you no longer have to opt into the transfer portal. The second your season's over, you're just automatically put in the transfer portal. You have to opt out of the transfer portal. I don't know. There's some sickos out there that hear that and they're like, sign me up. That'd be awesome.
Also, soon as your team goes in the portal, you got to start loving the portal and fighting to get guys out. Like that's the vicious cycle of it.
It's so
It's
stupid.
crazy. I don't know. It is something to talk about, but it's annoying that it is the way it is.
But it is something to talk about, but there's so much and so many moves that it's like impossible to talk about it, because it's like what am I supposed to, oh, holy shit, Duke got Mason Gillis, this changes everything. I don't know that it does. I don't know.
Right.
He's good. I think it'll change something, but I also don't know what the rest of their roster looks like. I don't know what the rest of anyone's roster looks like. I have no context for this whatsoever heading into the next season. I think he's a good player. That's all I know. I think he's a good shooter and he's tough, and they need both of those things. So that's good. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. These sickos out there. I saw Gary Parrish is still pumping out the top 25 and 1. Perverts like him, these college basketball perverts out there that are just like, I'm going to put my head down. I'm just going to power I think Rothstein is too, the Rothstein 45 or whatever his branded rankings are. And they're just like, listen, man, I got a job to do, and it's pumping out lists, and it's putting numbers next to teams' names. I'm addicted to it. I can't quit it. I have to do it. And it's almost the end of April now. We're heading into May. John Rothstein's going to fall asleep here in a few days, but before then, he's going to be putting out teams with numbers next to him and a list. I don't know how you do that. I legitimately have no idea how you go about doing that because of all the things we've said already. So,
Portal Combat.
Yeah, Portal Combat.
I actually like that one a lot.
Portal Combat.
Portal Combat's really good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Good job, John. You did it. This episode of the Mark Titus Show is brought to you by Body Armor Zero Sugar. The brand new Zero Sugar sports drink from our friends at Body Armor provides real hydration with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Whether you're looking to stay hydrated or recovering from a long weekend, Body Armor Zero Sugar has got you covered with great tasting flavors like fruit punch and lemon lime. I have both of those in front of me along with the orange. All three are great. I've given up trying to pick a favorite. At this point, I was going through phases with all of them, and then we have them all stocked in the fridges here, and I'm at the point now where I don't even pay attention to the flavor. I like to be surprised. I just open the fridge, grab one, start drinking it. They're all great. Whether you're looking to stay hydrated or recovering from a long weekend, Body Armor Sugar has got you covered. Body Armor is available at Walmart or your local grocery store. Head on over and get yours today, Body Armor. Is there anything else to talk about? The NBA playoffs are underway. I do love the NBA playoffs. I said this on Mostly Sports, and this I'm just in an old man rant mood right now. I'm gonna, by the end of the show, I'm gonna transition out of it, and we'll talk about some more fun things. But I said this to Brandon that so far there's been one game in the playoffs. A lot of teams are playing their second game tonight. But so far we have a situation where I'm watching the Nuggets and Jamal Murray, they're talking about how when the playoffs roll around, he becomes a different player. He's got the NBA record. If I read that stat correctly, no player in the history of the league ups their scoring average more once the playoffs roll around versus the regular season than Jamal Murray. He scores 7.5 more points a game in the playoffs throughout his career than he does in the regular season. Meanwhile, I've been seeing this Steph Curry quote or hearing about it from commentators nonstop about how he said that playing one playoff game is like 2 or 3 regular season games condensed into one. And the whistles get a little bit different, and toughness matters more. And like all these things are things that we agree are things that happen in the NBA. It's like once the playoffs roll around, it's a whole different animal, a whole different beast. We all accept these as fact, but I'll be goddamned if you're the person that's like, I only care about the playoffs in the NBA because that doesn't really feel like the players care that much in the regular season. If you have that opinion, you're just a hater that doesn't get how the NBA works, and you don't understand how hard it is to play defense in the NBA and all that. But somehow the opposite is true, or the rest of that is true, that like every player steps it up in the playoffs, but that doesn't mean they were already, I guess maybe they were given 100% in the regular season, and now they're given 110%. Is that what's going on? I don't know. Having said all that, as much as I do like to complain about the NBA regular season and how frustrating it can be, I fucking love the playoffs. I love the NBA playoffs so much, and I love this Nuggets team. They're so fun to watch. They are so. Brandon, I cheer for the Nuggets when they play every year. But Brandon has me in a weird spot now where I might actually be cheering for the Lakers to win a few games, because that feels like one of the more bozo takes he's ever had, that he thinks that the Lakers are going to give the Nuggets a series. The Nuggets are so much better. The Nuggets are so much better. They absolutely own the Lakers, and I might have egg on my face because we're putting this out. They're playing tonight, and then we'll put this out, and maybe the Lakers pull off the upset. But Jokic is I don't know how he didn't win MVP. He is. How he didn't win MVP last year? He's gonna win it this year. The way he elevates everyone else's game is incredible. Jamal Murray in the playoffs is like, as I said earlier, he just becomes like a whole different animal. I can't get enough of watching the Nuggets. They play so well together. They all know their roles perfectly. That starting five is just like absolutely locked in. And they had, through the years before they won the title, they had some issues with defense. Like that was more of their problems. Like Jokic is a wizard, and Jamal Murray is a great scorer and all that. Murray was hurt the one year and couldn't play in the playoffs or whatever. But like they didn't have like an edge to him defensively, and they get Aaron Gordon and they get KCP, and now they kind of do. And like, but the offense hasn't really suffered because you still have Michael Porter as a third option. I fucking love this Nuggets team so much. They're so fun to watch. It does feel. The one thing about the NBA that does suck with the playoffs is the inevitability feeling, and it shouldn't, because the West does feel like it's wide open, even though the Nuggets, to me, are better than everybody. I admittedly haven't been crunching the tape all season, so, I haven't been locked into the NBA, so maybe, obviously the Nuggets aren't the one seed, the Thunder are, so maybe the Nuggets are more susceptible than I've been led to believe. But it does feel like the West might be wide open. The East does not. But the one thing that the NBA does struggle with is that whether it's true or not, every playoffs does seem to have a sense of inevitability. It does feel like I've seen one game of every series, and game one overreactions are a tale as old as time. But I watched every team play one playoff game, and I was like, all right, so it's Nuggets Celtics. That's where we're headed. This is Nuggets Celtics. Seems pretty obvious. Let's just get to Nuggets Celtics. We do that every year, and then it doesn't always work out that way. And sometimes you get a Heat team that sneaks in. Sometimes the Lakers. Last year they went on a little bit of a run. There are some upsets that happen. And the West is crazy. I mean, all these series seem kind of crazy. I think the Lakers Nuggets to me is like the worst series. The Pels almost beat the Thunder. The Suns Timberwolves seems. I mean, the T-Wolves seem like a way better team, but like Kevin Durant, I think it ultimately boils down to that. Is like you look at like Kevin Durant, you look at LeBron James, and you're just like, I can't bet against those guys, right? I can't assume that they're just gonna roll over. And that's what's happening with Brandon with the Lakers. I think the Lakers have. At best, it's a gentleman's sweep. The Nuggets win tonight. They go back game 3. They give the Lakers one. And then they just win the next 2, and that's that. And that's a 5-game series. But the Nuggets have won 9 straight against the Lakers for a reason. And D'Angelo Russell sucks every time he plays the Nuggets. So this idea that, like, if they can get more offense out of D'Angelo Russell, they're not going to. He never does. He never plays well against the Nuggets. But, yeah, if all the Nuggets players play bad and all the Lakers players play good, I guess there is a path for the Lakers to win. But the West, the West seems like a lot of fun. The East, not quite as much fun, but yeah, the playoffs are underway, and it's a fun time of year to be a basketball fan. So I'm excited for that. What else is going on in the world of basketball? Oregon, did you see Oregon got rid of their disgusting court? I hope that's a mandate from the Big Ten. They're getting rid of the
Woodland Court.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Even it just looks like nonsense to me.
Although I don't know, we might be getting swerved here because all I saw was that they were like buffing out they were getting rid of the trees on the court, that tree pattern.
Yeah.
But they might just be like redoing it. I never actually got confirmation of what the new court is going to look like. The new court might be even worse. I don't know. I saw that a couple days ago. Oregon basketball court. Let me see.
At Boiler Uniforms.
At Boiler Uniforms today. So yeah, they're getting time to ditch the ugly.
The court at Matthew Knight Arena will indeed have a new design for the first time since opening in 2011. A source confirms.
Oh, nice.
Bill Oram on Twitter.
I would love if that was a mandate from the Big Ten. The Big Ten was like, listen, if you're going to join our conference, there's 2 things you should know. Number 1, we lose national title games. It's what we do. We're the best at it. And number 2, we don't have whatever that shit is on our court. Who has the worst court in the Big Ten now? Northwestern had a really bad one. Remember that one a few years ago?
Yes.
Oh, that was so bad. I like Michigan's. I like Michigan State's. I like IU and Purdue's. Illinois is fine. Minnesota. We don't have any.
Does Maryland maybe have flag stuff on it? That would be
What
annoying.
does Maryland's look like now? I can't remember. Basketball court. They do love that flag in Maryland.
Like maybe on the
they have it on the. Well, this is from 2015, but this feels like the most recent one. This feels like what they have, like the flags on the sideline. That's what we do, man. Big Ten, we just do classy courts. Yeah. We just do.
In every other conference, it's just basketball.
Yeah, it's just a basketball court to every other conference. In our conference, we don't fuck around. We do classy courts. Yeah, I saw that news and I was excited because I did not want to watch.
Yeah. The Oregon men's basketball account
court.
tweeted out a blank canvas with just a picture of the blank court. So I guess they're teasing.
That's cool.
What's to come?
Who's the most minimalist? Indiana used to be the most minimalist court, but then they've started adding, like, I think the Big Ten makes you put the Big Ten logo on it or something.
Probably, yeah.
But I used to think that was cool, just having nothing, no paint, no anything. How about a no center court logo? That would be awesome. I would love to see that from. Yeah, you just have the circle.
The Ivy League conference tournament this year had a crazy one. It was like a very gaudy, like very flat 2D logo.
Oh,
Ivy League. It was
massive,
massive green oval in the middle of the court.
What else? Caitlin Clark to the Fever's official since we last did a show. So that's awesome.
Sold more jerseys than I believe the entire Cowboys team did all year or something. The stats on these jersey sales are insane.
I will say because I don't know where I land on. I've mentioned it a few times. I don't know where I actually land on whether the momentum that she has built around women's basketball realistically can continue. I hope it does. It would be really cool. Or if it was just like we cared about it because she was going for a record and it was her senior year and all that. But I will say, as far as the WNBA goes, I think part of the problem the WNBA has had through the years has been it's a summer sport. And obviously in the summer, people want to do other shit. You want to go out on your boat or go to the beach, go on vacation. I don't know. There's just a bunch of other shit going on. And I think it's suffered for that reason. But, it also probably makes sense for them to do in the summer. I don't know. Whatever. I do think it being in the summer now works out wonderfully for them. For them to have the draft. And when does that season start? I mean, it has to be in the next month or so. The WNBA season has to start? Or is it after the NBA season is over? It'd probably be after the NBA season, after June. But for them to, I do think using the momentum to start the WNBA season this summer is big time for that. Because I think if you wait a full off season and, the Caitlin Clark mania dies down a little more, there'll still be a ton of people that care. But, yeah, I think that's huge for them is that this summer – all these girls that we watched in college that got drafted, we get to watch them in the WNBA, and also all the WNBA players that were talking shit to Caitlin Clark, we get to watch her play against them. So that'll be fun. Last thing, I was thinking about this, Cody. I owe you a Cubs game, don't I?
Yeah, I think me and TJ, right?
Yeah,
from last year.
You went to. You went to the Cubs game the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, it was freezing.
I saw you tweeting. Yeah, we got to make that happen now. Because I think last year, by the time everybody moved here, we were all set up. Because I had said, for background, for those listening that are watching that don't remember, and boy, I don't know why anybody would remember this. Before we hired Cody, I told TJ, I was like, we were trying to get people to submit applications for Cody's job, and I wanted like better candidates, and in the end,
that's crazy.
we got Cody, but I was like, let's get some. TJ was like, this is the leader of the clubhouse. It's Cody, and I was like, fuck, we got to do a big push for more. I'm kidding. I'm joking. And part of my big push was like, hey, if you get hired on the show, I'll take you to a Cubs game when we get to Chicago, which is not much, honestly, but it's something.
Yep.
But I was being realistic. I was like, I promise one Cubs game. I'm not promising that we'll be best friends, but like I will take the crew to one Cubs game. And then you got here, and then like the season, the baseball season, it didn't work out. The scheduling didn't work out. We all moved a little too late. The baseball season was ending. Football was starting. We had too much shit going on. But baseball season's back on, and I thought about that the other day. I was like, I owe everybody a Cubs game, so we want to figure this out.
We got to figure it out. I'm going tomorrow as well, but we got to go. What is that?
I was going to go tomorrow. I was going to pitch the idea of going tomorrow.
We got all year. Wait till the nice sunshine comes.
But you're going tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you there.
But you just went, dude. Are you addicted to Cubs games?
I've been getting into baseball. Like I was never a baseball guy, but the Cubs are sick.
Wrigley will do that to you.
I've been to 2 games.
Yeah.
They're 2-0 when I'm there. Not saying it's me, but yeah, we got to figure out a game.
It's awesome going to Wrigley, but now I'm a little. I mean, now if you're like going all the time, it's like, what is?
I mean, this will be my third.
What do you need me for? Third in one season.
We'll go next year.
They've been playing for like 3 weeks, and you've been to 3 games now. That's
TJ?
Crazy.
Any thoughts?
I've been to 1 game.
Yeah, I'm happy. I mean, I will still do it, but it just kind of,
It doesn't hit the same.
it doesn't hit the same. And I think that's the whole point. The whole point of me doing this was like getting credit for. I'm doing this for myself more than anything. I just want people to think that I'm like a good dude, And now if I'm. Yeah. Now no one's even. Now you're gonna like be tweeting from the Cubs game, and everyone's gonna just think that you're there on your own dime. Fuck, dude.
I'm more worried about getting a trophy on Friday.
Oh yeah, that is Friday.
Film Fest.
Yeah.
Film Fest. We're releasing the which by the way, I haven't said this to anybody, and I just now realized I don't know if I can be here Friday for the. I have a thing going on.
We'll FaceTime you.
I don't know if I can be here for the premiere. But I have to be. I might have to cancel my thing, but I don't think I can cancel it. Because again, I was. Yeah, that's tough. Because I'm the star of this movie.
Yeah.
Me and Donnie.
Yeah.
It's a co-star situation. Cody was on my team. How do you think it went?
They sent some stuff in the group chat. Looks really sick. I think it went really well.
Let me see this.
Even though our idea basically got cucked today by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I think we're fine. I mean, yeah, I think everybody kind of figured out. We didn't really spoil we did. It's fine. We did a draft for our film. Everybody saw that. That was public. One of the criteria that we drafted, we had to have a talking animal. Excuse me, an animal had to have 1 line of dialogue in the movie, and then it became very public that we had birds all around the office, and Brandon Walker, and everyone knew it was our team that bought the birds. I think most people would probably put it together that it was in fact the bird that talked in our movie, but that doesn't give away how we it's just incorporated it and all that. So, but we saw. I don't know if you saw this, TJ. There was a trailer, a new M. Night Shyamalan movie, and within 5 seconds of the movie, there's a talking bird. And there's like it looks like the exact same bird that we used. It was put out today. And we shot we came up with our, we're not the first movie to ever have like a talking bird, obviously, but that was crazy timing.
It says a lot about us.
And now we're worried about Jeff D. Lowe, who's judging this thing, thinking it's a knockoff of the Shyamalan, and it's not.
I would imagine Jeff D. Lowe not a Shyamalan guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But we saw our team panic today because we.
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. I don't know. We already made the movie, so
it'll be fun. I'm very excited for Friday.
Yeah, tune in Friday. Watch the premiere of Is that where we're going? Is that what the title of the movie is?
Film festival.
Or the film
The title.
festival. What, can I
Yeah.
say our title or no? I shouldn't say the title. I'll let someone else say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, our movie is. I was very fired up about it. I think it's gonna be good. I haven't seen it yet, but the stuff that they've shared.
Yeah. And the Viva TV episode's gonna be a banger too.
Hell yeah, man. All right, well, we'll figure out what Cubs game to go to. Maybe I'll see you there tomorrow. And if we
Sounds
get a
good.
picture tomorrow at the game together, that counts.
At the bus stop.
Yeah, it's a bus stop. Wrigleyville flux. All right, we'll be back on Friday. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you guys then.